Good afternoon. Hope you've had a great afternoon and day at BrewEdIsolation. My name's Tim Clarke. I'm proud to be head teacher at Cornerstone Church of England Primary in Hampshire, and I'm here this afternoon just to share with you our journey on developing writing hands with our children. What we've found is that as children transition through primary school, particularly as they go into Key Stage 2 and Upper Key Stage 2, due to us focusing our teaching more on developing their use of sophisticated writing and the sort of content and the purpose and the audience, because of all of those techniques, sometimes the basics of writing seem to get lost. This can result, particularly in Upper Key Stage 2, in what feels like lots of nagging from us as staff over the basic skills which the children were taught back in sort of year 1, year 2, year 3, and that these are not being applied regularly in their independent writing, particularly when they're writing in cross-curricular contexts. What we don't want to have to do as staff is to keep nagging over the same basics. The analogy I often use with staff and indeed parents is that of learning to drive a car. When we first learn to drive a car, we're focused on how we're turning the steering wheel, making sure that we are using the clutch and the accelerator, and how we manage to use both of those at the same time. Those basics are really important when we're first learning it, but if, like me, once you've been driving for a number of years, those basics just become automatic. We don't even think about them. We just do them correctly, hopefully, without having to actually consciously think it through. And that's what we want for the children with their writing. So at Cornerstone, myself and our English and senior leader, Fran, devised our writing hands approach. We talk to our children about giving themselves a hand when they're writing, and we talk to them about every time they pick up their pencil or pen, they must remember to use their hand. They're physically holding it and in their hand, but focusing on what the objectives are of the hand they're using. The green hand is our first hand, and that's focused on year 1 objectives. So the 5 objectives are lowercase and uppercase letters, writing on the line, listening carefully and using their phonic sounds in their writing, remembering to put in finger spaces, and making sure they're using capital letters and full stops. As a school, we aim for all of the learners to have mastered and be independently applying these objectives in their writing by the end of year 1. That's what we're aiming for. Some children may not get there by the end of year 1. But the plan is that every year, every child across the whole school will start in September with the green hand again. Now for year 6, for many of them this may just be a focus for a week or 2, but what they've got to do is they've got to prove to their teacher that they know these basics and that they can apply them independently before they move on. The second hand is the gold hand, which is focused on some of the objectives we think are key that are taught in year 2. Most year 1 children will not get onto the gold hand, but some of them might. The objectives on this hand are joining letters, using full stops, question marks, exclamation marks, commas and apostrophes, spelling keywords correctly, using conjunctions, and looking carefully and editing their writing before they share it with their teacher. Also, having the structure of the hands with their 5 digits encourages the children to actually check for each of those objectives and to sort of almost tap their fingers and tick them off on their actual hand as they've gone through and checked their writing for these objectives. The final hand is the purple hand, and this is aimed at some key end of year 3 objectives. What we hope is that if all the children by the end of year 3 are using all the objectives from all these 3 hands as automatic habits when they write and whenever they write, we can then help them to develop those more sophisticated techniques from year 4 onwards. The objectives on this hand are spelling high frequency words and applying learned spelling rules and patterns accurately, speech marks and brackets, using a variety of sentence types and sentence starters, consistently and fluently joining their handwriting, and controlled and/or consistent use of tense throughout a piece. We introduced this system of the writing hands in September 2019, and what we found is that the children have been very motivated by the hands since then. They know them, they understand them, and they can actually see why they're important and how they are helping them. What we've also seen is that actually the children have raised their own expectations of their writing, and they're keen to get those basics right. What we've also found is that the majority of year 4 to year 6 learners have progressed onto Purple Hand and are able to apply them automatically so that they can then focus on those more sophisticated, higher skill level writing skills. On this page, you can see examples from year 1 and year 2 writers, both of whom have progressed onto Gold Hand. The year 1 example is on the left, the year 2 is on the right. And as you would expect, I've chosen particularly good examples to share with you. On this page, you can see examples of year 4 and year 5 writing, year 4 on the left, year 5 on the right. Although both of these examples from the autumn term show the learners applying their green hand objectives, what we've seen as staff is that the effort from the children and the standard of their writing is better than we've seen at this point in previous years. Thank you very much for listening. Hope you have a great evening. Please stay safe. Does anybody have any questions?
Oh. I feel a bit feels a bit embarrassing, to be honest, after our last speaker and Hannah talking about her amazing, inspiring writing with values, to come back to sort of some nuts and bolts. But I think for us, one of the key things is, and I think we've all known perhaps children in year 5 and 6 who've got great ideas, and you think when you talk to them, they're just brilliant. But when they come to put it down on paper, they just don't want to. And a lot of the time it's because of those mechanics and basics that they know they're not very good at. They don't really want to have to put pen to paper, and it's holding them back. So we still think these are really important building blocks to actually give the children those skills, give them the confidence using them so they can then do all that amazing stuff.
No, I love it. No, Tim, it's brilliant. I've got to thank you as well, because back in the day, not 4 or 5 years ago, maybe a bit more now, I went to a teach meet which you had at your school. It's one of the first ones I've been to. So, yeah. And I've travelled all the way from the Isle of Wight to Hampshire.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you coming over.